Hello, Holy Trinity family from the west of Ireland in the Connemara region of Galway. I'm in the village of Leenane on the Killary Fjord. If you have ever visited Leenane, you have surely been asked by those who live here, now, have you seen the film, The Field? Well, if you have, you'll recognize, let me turn this around, this body of water behind me, the Killary Harbor. Oh, where the sun is setting right now. And the mountains surrounding it, dotted with sheep. And the village behind me here from the movie. So The Field is a movie that's rather dark, and it's ultimately a very tragic film. You can see the field bar over there. It's set here in this town in the 1930s about a man named Bull McCabe. Now, Bull McCabe is desperate to hold on to a tiny little piece of land that his family's been farming since the famine, and he wants to pass it along to his son. And he is desperate and willing to be complicit in murder to hold on to this little patch of green. Something else you might hear if you're visiting out this way are cars passing by, but also the tale of Granuelle, who is also Grace O'Malley from the 16th century. She was a fearless, ruthless, rebellious, and very shrewd matriarch. She was extremely protective of her family and her tribe. So while here in Connemara this summer, I have both watched The Field and I read a biography of Grace O'Malley. Oscar Wilde called this region savage beauty. And again, just to show you, he called it that mostly because of the landscape, the rocky mountains and the lashing rain and the rough tides of this wild Atlantic that the Killary Fjord spills into. But I think it can also be called, sorry if I'm giving you a headache, a savage beauty because of the bloodshed and the conflict over clan identities and possession of its land and sea. Makes it savage. And I ask myself a rather naive question. Why? Why has it always been thus, and will it always be? So I found myself, while walking the hills here one day, humming the song my sisters and I used to sing passionately and dramatically in the early 70s whenever it came on the radio, One Tin Soldier. And now it's going to get stuck in your head too. If you don't know it, it tells the story of a kingdom on a mountain with a hidden treasure. And it's buried beneath the rock, the stone, and the valley folk from far below want that treasure for their own. And even though the mountain people tell the valley people that they're willing to share their treasure, the valley people want it all to themselves. And so then they attack and they kill the mountain people. Then they open the treasure and, wait for it, peace on earth is all it says. Go ahead and hate your neighbor. Go ahead and cheat a friend. I won't sing the rest of it, but you'll probably have it in your head now. So when I was 8 years old, I remember thinking, why couldn't the valley people just take up the mountain people's offer to share the treasure? And at that age, I would have been called naive. But I like to think that now, as I approach my 60th birthday next month, I could say the same thing and maybe just be considered wise. Or maybe not wise, because in our gospel reading a few days ago, Jesus said his message is hidden from the wise and learned, and instead revealed to the childlike. So what I hear in Jesus' words from today's Gospel of Matthew, chapter 12, verses 46 to 50, is something very different from what's depicted in The Field, or in the Pirate Queen's life, or in the One Tin Soldier song, or our current political climate in the U.S. When Jesus' mother and brothers are waiting outside to see him, he takes in the whole crowd surrounding him, and he says, "These are my brothers, and my sisters and my mother. And he includes them in his family. So this intensely loyal love and devotion that I am sure he has for his mother Mary and for his brothers and sisters and cousins and his whole wonderful clan, he also has this for anyone who's willing to receive it. So what a vision to take that passion that Bull McCabe or Grace O'Malley has for their own clan, their own people, and extend it to all people. Being willing not to kill for these people, but willing to die for them. Willing to give one's life to make sure they have a plot of land, they have a place to live, they have food to eat. This is how strongly Jesus feels about those people he included with the sweep of his hand. And this now includes us. Jesus tells us, I love you like I love my own mother, which is very, very much. And what about us? Are we willing to look a little foolish and naive by saying something like that? I mean, I love my Irish clan, my husband Peter, my adult children, my parents, my sisters and brothers-in-law, my nieces and nephews and cousins, my in-laws. I love them in a very particular, embodied, day-to-day way. So what does it even mean to love other people like that? And I'm wondering how you approach that question. I'd love to hear from you. How do you love your own in a particularly and embodied and daily way and still love universally? How do you live out this sense of being in communion with all people while at the same time being affiliated proudly with a family, a political party, a nationality, a religion that sometimes pits us against others? In the face of the dangerous decline of civility in our political realm, of pervasive violence, of the seemingly intractable Israel-Palestine conflict, it can sound awfully naive to point to the brotherhood and sisterhood of all people, to refer to the buried treasure of the mountain kingdom. Peace on earth was all it said. And yet, I do hear Jesus speaking this deeper truth in today's gospel, that this is the vision of the kingdom, to know and love all people as brothers and sisters in the family of God, the same God who also mysteriously calls and loves each of us in a very particular and individual way. I think that's what Mary Magdalene was so excited about when she burst through the doors of the upper room and with great joy said, I have seen the Lord. This is it, guys. This is really happening. This is the kingdom that Jesus talked about. I think Mary Magdalene, whose feast day I'm recording on, so when you're listening, it was the day before. I think Mary Magdalene is a true mystic. She had this profound encounter with the risen Christ that changed everything. I think of part of her joy in running to the others was that she knew in that moment that everyone is meant for that union with God and with each other. And probably some people dismissed Mary Magdalene as naive, or worse. When I was young, the same age I was when I passionately sang One Tin Soldier with my sisters, along with the radio, I had a plaque on my wall that I received from a nun for my first communion. And on the wooden plaque was spelled out with large bent nails, "Love is the answer." And as a naive little girl, I thought it was. And now, as a nearly 60-year-old woman with wisdom stripes in my hair, I still think so. So what do you think? Saint Mary Magdalene, pray for us and for all the pirate queens among us.